Hello and welcome to This Racing Life, where this week we are travelling around the Welsh border. Christina McElhinney pays a visit to Yorton Farm Stud and also sees some equine stars enjoying their retirement. Meanwhile, I am in Cardiff with Evan Williams, who has been enjoying another excellent season. Evan, it's been great to see Silver Streak this morning. Just reflect, I suppose, first of all on the run at Newcastle. What was your initial assessment of that performance?
Well, it was heavy ground and our horse ran well. He didn't get beaten that far by Mickey Hammond's horse, who I think absolutely loved the ground and got given a brilliant ride. I think the horse that finished second is obviously a champion. I know he had a setback, which obviously didn't help him, but he handled plenty of cut in the ground, and we're a good ground horse, and we finished right up their backsides, as it were. So no, I was very, very happy with the way the race finalised in the latter stages. We stayed on very, very well. I can't see what the horse done wrong. And
going back to Kempton, is that the aim where he kicked off this season for the Christmas hurdle? Is that the obvious target?
I think so. I was always keen at the beginning of the season to take on good horses, and you know, he's third in a champion hurdle, third in a fighting fifth, and you can crab the form if you want to, but there's still very good races at the highest level. So I'd be very keen to get to Kempton if everything stays as it is now.
An easier horse, based upon what we've seen throughout his form, that he's going to show his best on good ground. I know he wasn't beaten far on heavy ground last time, but if you could pick it, you'd go good ground, would you?
I think so. I mean, remember the champion hurdle was soft ground last year, and everywhere he went was soft side. I'm just very keen to run him in grade ones throughout the year. I think they get hardened to it. I think, you know, you can make a grade one horse by running him in grade ones, and then when you get everything right on the day, I think it can make a big difference to him. And he's a good, tough, genuine grade one horse, so we'll keep rolling the dice.
What's he like as a horse at home to deal with?
He's grand, you know, he's very straightforward. A good lad rides him. Lewis Gordon's done a lot of work with him, and the horse has improved a good deal since, you know, he's been on him. We're lucky to have him.
As far as the gap you have between Newcastle and Kempton as we stand here now, I know you've still got a few weeks off, but that should be fine, should it? The gap between his races that he's had so far this season?
Well, I think he's a lot better horse, very fresh. I mean, his win record after a long layoff would suggest that, but he was competing in a lot lower grade races then than he is now. So, I mean, when you're winning handicaps around Taunton off 96, is that anything to do with freshness, or is that more to do with that he was a better horse than the rest of them? So, I mean, all of the experts would tell you that, you know, he's got to have a long time between his races, but I think we do our thing, and we listen to what we think rather than listen to what the other people think.
When it turns out you fought 40 or 50 pound well in, it shows that, you know, maybe you're just better than the rest of them. Yeah. So there you go.
You could have trotted him around the roads and fed him barley husk and he'd have won, but look, you know, I'm keen to go to Kempton and go from there.
Why that route, if you like? Did you always think with him that he'd turn out to be a horse that could finish placed in a champion hurdle, or did he really surprise you every step of the way, Evan?
He surprised me every step of the way, and I thought he was a good handicapper. And when we won our handicaps last year, I treated him with a little bit of disdain to some respects. I treated him like a horse that had done his winning. And then when we ended up in the champion hurdle and finished third, I mean, albeit the win was very impressive, I was as shocked as anybody. Delighted, but shocked. And I think to some extent that's why they fight in fifth. I wasn't in any way, shape or form disappointed with our run in the fight in fifth, because it was on ground that was very deep behind two horses which handle that ground very well.
Where do you stand on the division? We always seem to, even this early in the season, weigh up where a division is, and I suppose with the anti-post champion hurdle favourite getting beaten in Ireland, albeit by a stable companion, Bouvardere now out for the season seemingly, we're reflecting on this as a weak division, but as a man that's got one of the leading charges in it, how do you see it?
Well, every division's weak when you're sitting in a studio pointing to pictures on the wall, but go and find me a horse to go and win a champion hurdle or be placed in a champion hurdle. It's not as easy as that. And I don't agree with this strong division or weak division. if you win a week Gold Cup, you've still won a Gold Cup, and if you win a week Champion Hurdle, you've still won a Champion Hurdle. It's a load of poppycock, but then that's the world we live in, and people always want to build things up and smash them down, but a winner is a winner. It doesn't matter where it is and what it is. He's one of those, I mean, he might never win a Grade 1. You know, we're not silly to think that we're definitely going to win a Grade 1 because they're tough to win, but he's young enough and he's done nothing wrong in his 2 runs this year. And if it is such a weak division as everybody keeps saying, then fingers crossed there's plenty more prize money to be won with him.
More from Evan later, but first over to Christina, who is on the other side of the border in Shropshire.
On a suitably grey day, I'm in Shropshire, where Lisa Hale's daughter of famous owner John runs Shore Farm Stud, a show jumping establishment, but also home to some very famous retired grey racehorses. We're going to meet them now. Lisa, I'm feeling really honoured right now because I'm standing here with no less than Grand National winner Neptune Colons. How is he?
He's in good order, as you can see. He lives out at the moment, but he doesn't go wanting for anything. So no, he's in great nick all the time.
I think he knows he's a bit of a star, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's still him. Yes, I know. Yeah, he's an absolute stable star.
So what is he, rising 19?
He's coming 19, yes, you wouldn't believe it.
No.
He's as fit as a fiddle, enjoying life.
So just going back to that day in 2012, that famous finish, looked for all the world, but Sunny Hill Boyd won the National, and then this guy charging down the outside.
Yeah, he needed every little bit of the 4 1/4 miles that day, but
definitely stayed.
as you can say, it doesn't matter how much you win by, a win's a win, and we're honoured to be able to own such a superstar.
I think that was a year that the story before the race, they always say was a story with a National, but it was very much Katie Walsh, could she be the first lady rider on the favourite Seabass? Yeah. But then equally people have been waiting for so long for a grey winner.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
What they got.
Yeah, and they got him. I mean, you are impatient, aren't you? Yes.
And he's not the only famous horse you've got in retirement here, so your parents have so many beautiful famous horses, particularly greys. Yeah,
no, we've got Alfarov.
No.
Which hopefully you'll meet in a little bit while, and then we've got Azertiuk, champion 2-miler, who's actually out in the field with O Petit Swan, who's obviously a very good horse as well, but unfortunately he's off for the year. So yeah, we're extremely lucky as a family.
I think Nipper wants to get back out to his field, so should we take him out? Go meet some others?
Thank you very much. Good boy.
So Lisa, Nipper's back out in the field where he belongs. I have met this chap before when he was with Dan Skelton. This is Alfarov.
Alfarov, yep. He's been a very good horse of ours. One of obviously a star-studded Supreme Novices at the beginning of his career. Obviously 2 wonderful other horses were in there, Q-Card, Sprinter Sacre. Need no introduction. So yeah, very proud of Alfarov.
Yeah, for a little while he didn't look like he'd get there that day, but then quite similar to Neptune. Good finishing kick these berries you've got.
Yeah, I remember Ruby saying that he thought they'd gone off quite quick in front, and obviously it was another masterclass from him.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, judging the speed of a race, he was always brilliant at, and that day, yeah, he did the same.
I mean, this guy's won so many great races, and like for Dan early in his career.
Yeah, he won a good Peterborough Chase for Dan, Harry Skelton on him. It's a shame that unfortunately he got a leg injury which finished his career, but he gave us some great days.
You can see he's incredibly chilled.
Yeah, no, he's got a great temperament.
Falling asleep on me.
Yeah.
So your family are known for your association with famous greys, none more so than one man who continues to be one of those greys who is synonymous with the King George at Christmas. What are the memories of him?
I would say he's still the best horse we've ever had. He was wonderful in every way, to look after, to watch, to own. Christmas, 2 King Georges, Queen Mother, finally found his trip. He was the what they call the public horse. Everybody loved him. Obviously, everybody loves a grey. He was a trier as well. I mean, he just didn't get the trip in the Gold Cup. It wasn't for lack of trying or anything else. Obviously got a trip round 3 miles on different tracks, but that little bit further, Gold Cup, just wasn't his...
That hill wasn't his friend.
Just wasn't his race.
But he did master it in the end.
Yeah, he mastered the Queen Mother, which I think he deserved a festival win.
Absolutely.
You know, from what he did, and yeah, it was a brilliant day.
And to go back to Nipper, who was getting a bit fractious, wanted to go back out with his pals. He was in an era of truly magnificent modern steeplechasers, and he was part of that famous 1, 2, 3 for Paul Nicholls in the Gold Cup.
Yep.
Do you ever think before his national win he didn't get enough credit for his ability?
Wow, listen, you're going to speak about another horse shortly as well as Urchip. He was in a very good era as well. Had Cato and Denman not been around, was he good enough to win a Gold Cup? Yeah, he was. But unfortunately, that's racing, and horses come in waves, don't they? And it was just nice of him to win that national in the end, and obviously it put him right up there with the other two. But that was a brilliant Gold Cup, and a brilliant training feat, obviously by Paul.
So it's not just thoroughbreds you've got here.
More show jumpers than thoroughbreds. More show jumpers.
And some very successful ones.
Yes, obviously the most successful is Arco. Went to the Athens Olympics, nearly won a medal, not quite. Another one was Russell that went to the Olympics, and now we've been breeding. We've got a really good Arco stallion called Aristio that's with Anthony Condon, jumps 5 stars, Nations Cups, maybe got a chance of going to the Olympics next year, who knows. Ireland will have a new chef to keep, so you don't know what their thinking will be.
Okay.
And then we bred him, and we bred some other really good ones, and we've got 3 going to Olympia in a couple of weeks, which is very exciting.
Fantastic. So you're basically surrounded by some very famous horses here.
Yeah.
And one of those, like you mentioned, is Urtiop. I think we're going to go and meet him.
You are, yep.
Lovely. That was great meeting you again. So John, what's Urtiop like in retirement?
He's a complete gentleman. He's like a lot of the French-bred racehorses. They have fabulous temperaments, an absolute joy to own, and in the main they all give you 110% in every race.
Well, this one seems particularly affectionate, certainly likes polos.
And they all like polos.
So just his career, to win the Arkle and then the Champion Chase
Yeah, and
the following year, that must have been an amazing journey.
And then he'd given us everything, and when he picked up an injury at Sandown, we checked with the vets and we decided to retire. And then,
Those tussles he had with the likes of Moscow Flyer and World Chief.
They were great races. I mean, looking back on them now, I think that when he won the Queen Mother chase, it was always difficult to beat Moscow Flyer, but Moscow Flyer actually fell that day. But I've always felt that he was so good that day.
He was
absolutely brilliant. And I've always thought that he would have beaten him that day, so I was hoping that Moscow Flyer would stay up, But that was a brilliant performance.
I was watching the race back, and when he kicked for home, it was an exhilarating turn of foot. It was amazing.
And tribute to Ruby. He produced a great job on him, riding him.
How does it feel through the years to have your horses associated with people like Ruby, like David Nicholson, like Richard Dunwoody, people who are part of the history of national hunt racing?
Well, they're the best. I remember what Richard Dunwoody did for us with one man. And he's a brilliant jockey. And of course then we moved into a new era, and we started having horses trained by Paul Nicholls. And of course then Ruby joined Paul Nicholls. And that was a great partnership, and I've often said that we won 2 Supreme Novices thanks to the riding of Ruby, the way he rode them, and Paul's always been a great trainer for us. He's always, when we won the Grand National, he was superbly fit that day, and it was. We still watch the races.
Well, there is that line that everyone loves a grey, and I think with One Man and Neptune in particular, your horses have often epitomised how people really get behind national hunt horses and really get emotionally involved with them, and seeing them succeed is so important to them.
Yes, the relationship between a national hunt racehorse and the public is over a much longer period than it is with the flat horses. And that is why the national hunt horses are always remembered and are probably the best well known for to the public.
I mean, over the amazing amount of top races you've won, there's one that you're still looking for, isn't there?
Yes, just one missing from the jigsaw is the Gold Cup. But we're working on it, working on that, you know.
Oh, it's been an amazing journey trying to get that elusive Gold Cup, and I hope you do. John, thank you so much for letting us meet these horses. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
More now from Evan Williams, who recently enjoyed Grade 1 success and has high hopes for the rest of his team. Can I move to Bold Plan? How would you assess his season so far, and what might the plans be going forward?
Well, Bold Plan done it nicely last time. He ran well enough in the Silver Trophy. He was fresh and well and just ran out of gas in the latter stages. But we always thought he was a horse capable of running in a decent handicap and winning a decent handicap. And it was great prize money the other day in Haydock, and you know, the race panned out well for him. I was going to run him over fences after the Silver Trophy, but we decided to sit quiet and run him again in a handicap. We'll probably keep to hurdles now for this year. There's plenty of options for him, loads of options after Christmas and, you know, as we get into the spring. So we won't panic. We'll probably run him in a decent 2.5 mile handicap hurdle somewhere and see how we get on off our revised mark.
Quite enough. What was your assessment of his Cheltenham run?
Well, I thought he ran a great race for a horse with so little experience. Turned in, he was last off the bridle and didn't quite see it out like, you know, the hardened handicappers. But he still finished fourth in what's one of the, well, most competitive 2 mile handicap hurdles of the season, the Great Woods. So I'd say we'll stick to hurdling with him. He's nudging up the weights and not winning, but he's competing in those valuable handicaps, and I just think we'll keep having a go with him in those handicaps.
Over the minimum trip?
I think so. He didn't lack for pace around Cheltenham the other day. In fact, travelled well. The ground probably helped him there because it was a bit dead. But I'd say we'll aim for Ascot now before Christmas and keep trying.
Coconut Splash. First of all, how is he?
Grand, yeah, he's fine.
That was, I mean, it wasn't ideal. What would have happened, do you think, last time?
I don't know.
I suppose you weren't done with, were you, for the winner was impressive?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good race, wasn't it? I mean, I think there was 4 of them came to the last together and we went upside down. Look, he's a nice young horse. He's only a 4-year-old. Again, little experience. I was keen to drop him back to 2 miles on a galloping track, and I suppose to some extent it was bad placing really to run him in such a competitive race, which it normally is, that race, that maiden hurdle. But it was the right thing for the horse. It didn't quite come off, but we'll go quietly now for the rest of the season and try and win a maiden hurdle with him and see where we're looking from there.
Can I just ask you about the Welsh National? I remember at the start of the season, I think I read in a stable tour, you had 4 possibles going forward for that. Where do you stand on those, and all being well, how many might turn up in it?
Well, we've Pobbles Bay, he's run in the race before. He's run well enough in the race before and has improved as a stayer there towards the end of last year. Prime Venture, who goes well around Chepstow. He's a funny character, but you get the impression there's a day in him. He ran well in the Midlands National as a novice last year. Got a little bit lost, but ran well enough to suggest that, you know, he can build on that. And there's another horse in there, Virginia Chick, who again has won a good handicap over hurdles around there. He's only a novice, but those 3, if they get in the race and they're in the handicap, they will run.
And John Constable, I remember at Exeter, I think it was Nick Lucky, you had a nice interview with, talking about that horse, and of course you brought him back. Was that a couldn't let him go, or was that sort of he still had a role to fulfil here?
Look, I brought him back because there was a few lads that were half interested in him, and they fell by the wayside, and then it was complete family pressure from women in the family. Nothing to do with the male folk in the family, and that's why he came back, because he's been here a long time, and we think there can be a bit of fun with him. He'll never be what he was, because he's too old for that, but if he can keep tipping away quietly and have his day, we'd be delighted.
Was that Isabel running for the first time that day, is that right?
Yeah, she rode him for the first time, and that's what we'll do. We'll keep Isabel on him to claim £7, because he's not going to be competitive unless you can keep taking £7 off him, and we'll just hopefully get the horse fresh and happy, and if we can win a little race or two with him, then it'll be grand. But look, he's been a good horse to us over the years, and it's a little bit of a menagerie. We've got old Byways and Court Minstrel and a few of those old boys that are still hanging around us, and I suppose that's why we do it, really, because we do love them, and I think the girls love them more than me, really.
But they tug at the heartstrings, these horses, don't they? If some of these horses, they're nearly public property because they've been around so long, people love them. What chance you got with your family?
I know, we've got no chance. And look, it's great that they think that way, and I pretend I don't think that way, but I've always, if they're putting their head over the gate, they've always having a pat and everything, but I don't know. That's the way we are, and that's the way it'll always be.
Back to Christina now, who has hopped over the county border to visit Yorton Farm Stud in Welshpool to meet the man behind the forward-thinking operation, David Futter.
So David, just tell us how Yorton Farm Stud came to be based here.
Well, we moved from Shropshire over to Powys, a two counties border, obviously. We were tenants on a sandsaw estate, and we sort of outgrown the farm there and the ability to expand it like we wanted to. And James and Jean Potter, who had been owners at the farm for quite some time, had just taken on these buildings here and asked if we'd like to come and have a look and see if we thought we'd want to move. And we came, we had a look, and at the time it was just a run-down set of buildings. But I knew that James was serious about developing them into a stud farm, and we made the leap and I moved over, and we haven't looked back since, really. It's been a great for the business. There's all different aspects of the farm. It's not just about the stallions and the mares. It's we try and get involved in all the different parts of the industry and try and open up the farm so people can come down and see. So we take, when you think about all the racehorses that race on national racehorses that race on the tracks, they all come from somewhere, and they all come from somewhere like a farm like this.
Right.
And most of them come from France, Ireland, or the UK. So it's great to have the opportunity to show the farm to the general public and let them know what's going on and what we're all doing.
And there's an opportunity for people to come and see that on December the 19th?
Yeah, 19th we've got a stallion show and a young stock show. We show a couple of young horses, and then after we have refreshments and a bit of a party. And it's great. This year, the Potters and Yorton have bought 2 new stallions. We've bought Masterstroke from Darley, who's a son of Mon's son. He's third in the Arc. He's got a great family too, or his dam's a sister to Galileo, See the Stars. It's a phenomenal pedigree. His oldest stock are only 4 as we speak. He's already got graded winners over an O'Toy, listed winners in O'Toy over fences with his first 3-year-old crop, so he can obviously get them precocious. And so we have him, and then we bought another stallion called Scarlo, and he was a stallion we looked at 3-4 years ago actually. We couldn't strike a deal. We couldn't get him because this year he went and bred the German Derby winner Lucario, and we thought we might have been able to, and we managed to secure him. So it's great to bring 2 new stallions back to the farm. And Gentle Wave, who we've stood here for 3 seasons, he moved over to France, which is very much the policy, trying to work with different stud farms. We work very closely with Ralph Barry and Glenview over in Ireland and the Cashman family, and we work closely with some of the stud farms in France, and it was great to send Gentle Wave over there. There's not an awful lot of national mares in this country, so sometimes your stallion may slow down on his coverings purely because of the whereabouts he is in the cycle. We're waiting for Gentle Wave's runners to come out and run. His numbers were dropping, sent him over to France. He covered between 70-80 mares each year for 2 years. He was there, very popular. His stock had just coming onto the track. He got 3-year-olds this time. They were very, very popular at the store sales. They've gone into the Irish 4-year-old point-to-point market. So we thought the timing was right to bring him back. And so on the 19th you'll be able to see the 2 new stallions. Gentle Wave has come back, and Petter's Moon and North Dancer.
In terms of, like you said, moving stallions around, it's quite a forward-thinking approach to everything, and you've had a similar approach to holding your own sale here.
Yeah, I think probably I've been very fortunate in that none of my family were anything to do with the horses. So although I started working, in the stable yards when I left school at 16, I didn't have this family behind saying we should do this, or we've always done it that way, we've done it this way, and we've had a lot of support, and we've looked at it as if to say we want to be transparent, be open, and let as many people be involved, and it's no point doing the same things. There's no point doing the same thing we did 5 years ago, never mind 20 years or 25 years ago. We've got to keep developing and going forward, and it was the most challenging thing I think we've done within the business. You're never sure when you do something like this whether it's going to be taken up by the industry, whether it's going to be supported, and we were delighted to get Goffs UK on board, which they were integral to the to the success of it, because it gave it really good foundations and the support of having a professional auctioneer company like those backing it. And then there was French people come over, and Rook of the Irish lads came over. We made it sort of a 2-day event. The night before we had a reception, drinks and party for everyone to come in. So anyone who travelled from any distance, they could come in and have a party. Then the next day we had a sale, and obviously we wanted the sale to be successful, and we wanted to be profitable. But one of the main reasons was to open the farm up, open the buildings that you've seen today, and let people come in and see what we can do, and what Yorton's about, really.
Getting off to a good start with a party with the Irish and the French over to spend a lot of money the next day sounds like a good idea.
Well, anyone who's been involved for Yorton for any length of time realise we work hard, but we party hard too. So
And in terms of horses in training, Virgilio we saw today, very, very popular name.
Well, Virgilio was our flagship for such a long time. I mean, we bought him in Arcana for very little money, and we had him over and we liked him. And Lester was only young. Lester was probably 14. He'd been broken in but been rushed through, and we re-broke him and got him jumping and going. And we tried to sell him to a couple of trainers, including Dan actually was one of them. And there was a chap up in the village, a mate of mine, and he's been pestering me for about 3 years saying, I want to buy a racehorse, and he knew nothing. I said, no, you don't need it. But anyway, with this one I thought, right, we're going to all get in together. And there was myself, Richard Venn, Chris Edwards and Andy Rushworth, and we all went in and we had a share in him. We sent him over to Etienne Lenders. He ran once, and then he won second time on Christmas Day, his second running, and then we brought him back. He'd been over a while, and then it was decided that we'd have a bit of fun with him. And I texted Dan and said, look, we've got this horse over, would you like to train him? I said, this is his name. He was off the phone for about a minute. I'll have him straight away. So he came straight on and the rest is history, really. I think he won 6 or 7 races for us. He's taken us to places we thought we'd never go.
What I particularly like about the mentality and the ethos here is that, first of all, the farm's involved in every aspect, from planning, breeding to foaling to training and racing horses, but it's also very strongly committed to promoting national hunt racing.
I joke about it, but partly 50% of what we do is to obviously keep the business funded and keep it going and stop it from going bankrupt. And the other 50% what we do is trying to develop the industry and think of new ideas to open up to more public, because I would love as many people as I can to open doors, come in and say, this is what we do, this is how you can get involved, this is where all the racehorses come from, places like this. And that's what we have got so much to be excited about in Britain with the national hunt racing. It's fantastic to work with an industry where virtually everyone, if anyone who's been in it for any length of time, the glass is half full. It's a great industry to work in.
Well, that's it for this week's This Racing Life. We'll see you again next week, where we are talking point to pointing. Bit of Phil Rowley, Alan Hill, Tim Vaughan snuck in there as well. We'll see you then.